I should consider getting a Sherlock poster for back there. Maybe sometime. Alright, what is up guys? For my first review on this YouTube channel, I will be talking to you guys about BBC's Sherlock. Sherlock is a show that started airing in 2010 on BBC, and it's about Sherlock Holmes. It's Sherlock Holmes set in the modern day. It's him solving cases based on the original Arthur Conan Doyle stories, and it's really one of the most mainstream pop culture successes today. When I first started in 2010, it was kind of underground and people were watching it, but it wasn't as hyped up as it is now. Like you Google Sherlock, and every day there's going to be new search results for Sherlock Series 4 filming, Sherlock Series 3 on Blu ray, all these different things. But it's just such a mainstream success, and it totally deserves it too, because this show is fantastic. The main thing that really sells the show for me are the two performances by the main actor, Benedict Cumberbatch playing Sherlock and Martin Freeman playing Watson. Benedict Cumberbatch was kind of underground type of guy before the show came out, but now he's evolved into mainstream success after playing the sociopathic detective Sherlock Holmes, and he totally owns his role in this. And working opposite him is Martin Freeman, who is kind of new from a couple smaller things before the show, but he too evolved into more mainstream success. Like he went on to play in The Hobbit, and he was in The World's End, and this show it shows both of them at their best from any other role I've seen them in. Benedict Cumberbatch is so fantastic in this show. He's so quick talking, and he has the kind of appearance that just makes him you totally buy that he's Sherlock Holmes. He's the definitive Sherlock Holmes. Martin Freeman's kind of like the average guy in this show that you're supposed to relate to when watching it. You're supposed to see yourself as Martin Freeman being like under the wing of Sherlock, and it totally works because Martin Freeman, his character is such a relatable dude in the show. You just can relate to him on anything he's going through with Sherlock. Like some of the absurdities in the show, like Sherlock's doing target practice in the house or something, and then Martin Freeman just walks in, and you totally just picture yourself there. And now I'll take you guys through it like by episode. So there are three series currently out. I know one and two are on Netflix now, and I think three starts at some point this week. But starting with season one, the pilot is really what hooks you. A Study in Pink, and it's a show that really establishes what the rest of the show is to follow, and it just makes you want to come back for more because it establishes who the characters are, it establishes what the show wants to be, and it keeps consistent through the rest of the show. Now, the second episode in series one is The Blind Banker, and that's my least favorite out of any of the episodes because it kind of just feels average. There's nothing extraordinary going on. There's a lot of different stories that are kind of intertwining with each other, so that's cool, but it's just kind of an episode. But then we move on to episode 3 of series 1, which is really the Jim Moriarty in the show. He's Sherlock's main antagonist, and they finally introduce him in this episode. So he's introduced for 6 minutes at the end of the episode, but he's still there, and the whole episode he's like kind of clawing down on Sherlock. There have been a couple indications of him before, and now you finally get to see the main guy come out and just kind of fool around with Sherlock, send him on a wild goose chase, and that's cool. And then at the end of season one, you kind of depart with Moriarty for a while, which works for the show because you got to bring him back later. You can't just have one face off with him. And then series two starts off with the episode A Scandal in Belgravia. And any critic you've seen the show will tell you how fantastic Irene Adler, the character, is in the show. She's kind of like the female Sherlock in a sense. She's a challenge for him. Like he walks into the room and he just sees her and he's like, what's going on with her? There's something weird going on here. And they go back and forth throughout the episode, and it just shows what great a character Sherlock is because even though he's this super genius, he can still be challenged. And that's just great that Irene Adler sets up that challenge for him. Moving on to the next episode in the series is the Hound of the Baskervilles episode, and that's the story that every high school sophomore has to read. So it feels kind of like an episode that they just have to do, but it's pulled off really well because most of these episodes are directly adapted from the Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes stories, but there are definitely liberties taken here. Like there's an animal experiment facility where they're investigating, and you think that it might be some kind of tested animal that got out that's terrorizing them, and the family relationships are kind of different. So this isn't just like a cheat sheet if you have to read the book, it's an episode of the show, which is really cool. And it also shows like how Sherlock definitely has to keep going with the cases, how he's really passionate about his work as a detective. The guy just has to always keep busy. He can never be bored. And you really see that in the first 15 minutes of this episode. And then moving on, episode 3 of season 2, the Reichenbach Fall. That is third favorite episode of the show. And Reichenbach Fall is again an episode that kind of goes through the whole theme of series 2, which is Sherlock being challenged as a character. And this is Jim Moriarty's comeback, and he's challenging Sherlock again. And without any spoilers, they kind of face off throughout the episode. They keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until finally a resolution is met, and they just kind of have to deal with that. And then Series 3 picks up. This is after the show became kind of a mainstream success. So Series 3's picked up, and everybody's waiting for Series 3 to come out. Everybody is expecting it because they've heard of all the great things Series 1 and 2 are, and there's a cliffhanger at the end of Season 2, no spoilers there. But there was a cliffhanger at the end of Season 2, everybody wants to see resolved, so everybody's coming back for the beginning of Series 3. I know some people were like pirating the episodes online because they had previously aired in Britain before America, and it was just a whole thing how big this show got. But Series 3 was really about showing these characters coming back together. It was kind of like a repilot in a sense. All the characters are coming back to each other and they're reaffirming relationships from before. Like I said, no spoilers. Really getting the show back on track to be kind of a combination of series 1 and 2, because it's not going to be Sherlock centric this season. It's definitely going to be more of a show. And you definitely feel that because there is a case in Series 3, Episode 1, that doesn't have anything to do with the cliffhanger from the previous episode. Not really, because it definitely feels like it takes its own track, even though it is sort of based off of that. But then it's kind of resolved at the end, and everything's good for now. You move on to episode 2 of series 3. And you guys have heard me say the past couple episodes, episode 2 of the past 2 series have just been the weak points of that particular season or series. In Britain, they say series, here we say season, either way. Uh, but episode 2 of series 3 is my favorite episode of the entire show. It's my favorite episode because it's they're at John's wedding. No spoiler really, but John gets married in episode 2, and he and Sherlock's the best man. He's like giving the toast and everything, and he's going through different cases that they've been on together, and you kind of look inside Sherlock's mind for this because you see like a labyrinth of things of him trying to solve the case, and it's really his telling of the story, so everything that he sees when he's solving the case is there. And then as they move forward in the episode, some of the old cases start to become relevant in the present time, which is really cool. And everything's resolved at the end, which is also really interesting. And it also had like kind of a touching ending, you know what I mean, if you see the episode. Or at least I thought it was touching. Some people thought it was like heartbreaking, heart shattering or something. I thought it was touching. But then we move on to episode 3 of series 3, which is another great episode, and this introduces a new villain that's not Moriarty. And the new villain, I have no idea how to pronounce his name. It's definitely a foreign name. I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce it. But this new villain, he's a guy that's posing another threat for Sherlock, and he's definitely the guy. He does not hold up to Moriarty at all. The guy is definitely insane, like he's got a few screws loose, but he's not Moriarty completely out of his mind. He's just like kind of bonkers a bit. And he's not Irene Adler either, who's posing the threat for Sherlock. He's just kind of there. He's not really challenging him that much, but he's just kind of a guy Sherlock has to deal with. And that could take it a couple pegs down, but then you have this whole thing with Sherlock sometimes passing, he's been off the grid for a little bit, so you're trying to like figure out what he's been up to and everything. Then the end does this thing that's even a better cliffhanger than season 2 was, where everything's resolved, and then last 12 seconds or so, you just see the best cliffhanger possibly of the entire season of television so far. Series 3 just aired this past January. I think it's possibly the best cliffhanger of the season, and I'm excited for 2016 when Series 4 is supposed to start airing. Great performances by the actors, fantastic writing, great episodes minus like maybe one. These episodes are some of the best written television you'll ever see. Best direction, great acting. I think the show's been nominated for Emmys several times. It'll probably get a few more in a couple weeks when they announce the Emmy nominations for this year. and it's completely worth checking out. I'm going to give Sherlock 5 stars. 5 stars isn't a rating I'll throw out that much, but I really wanted to talk about a show that I really like first, so there it is. Show I really like, 5 stars for Sherlock. If you guys like what you've seen here, feel free to click that button that says subscribe, and you'll get more videos and reviews from me. I'll try to start doing some more movie reviews because I'm that movie critic guy, not that TV critic guy, but we'll see what happens. Like this video, leave me a comment what you guys think I should review, and until next time, see you guys.